Hey guys, Rick Shaw here. I'm just trying my new setup here with the fuzzy muff. I don't know if you can see that. You might be able to. Stay away. I don't want this to get knocked down. Mama and the kids are going to go for a hike, so I'm going to try this out. It's pretty breezy right now. The grass is growing pretty good, so we'll see how good this works with the wind noise. I did a test run on it inside the house, and they had the tablet going with a SpongeBob thingy on there, and that's all you could hear. It was like the microphone was aiming straight at me. This is supposed to be a directional, but it just picked that up. I don't know if it was from the echo off the concrete walls or what, but it was horrible. So they're going for a walk, and I'm going to do this. I did my little story on one of the times we were coon hunting. You know, we had this coons all set up in the trees, all skinned, with holding beer bottles and playing cards and smoking. But I do have a fishing one. I don't know if I put it on here last year or something, but I'll put it on here again for you new guys. And what happened was, I have a son now. He's going to be 36 here pretty soon. And when he was a little shaver, we went out fishing. I believe it was a Saturday night, and it's 2:33 in the morning, and we had a Coleman, one of them Coleman gas pump lanterns with the little mantles that you put inside, 2 mantles. We had that hanging on a big stick, and we kept seeing these perch coming up off this river, and just a beautiful night sky, millions of stars out. We were out in the country, and we're fishing there. We had some chairs we brought down, and we weren't catching any of the perch until we started using some fly bait. You know, so we did catch some of them later on. But what happened when we first started fishing, we were using worms and different things like that, and every time we cast in, we were catching these little 8 to 10 inch catfish. And you didn't notice them like you did the perch sitting on top of the water. These things just come up and grab it, so we're pulling them in. Well, after a while, it seemed like we were catching the same fish over and over, so we just, as soon as we caught them, we unhooked them and we tossed them on the bank. Well, we weren't catching the same one over. We just kept catching them. Well, there were 7 of them laying there, and we left them there. We changed bait. We wound up catching some perch, some of these river perch, and they laid there, and nothing seemed to bother them. I'm surprised the muskrats or coons didn't come up and eat them, but it was real close to where our house was. We could walk down this little path, and there was a big bank there, so that we went down. We made ourselves a set of steps there, and we had a big rock that we had so we could dig it out and have a little swimming area. It's pretty nice down by the river, but nothing bothered him. And I was talking to my buddy, this was days and days later, my buddy Kevin that I coon hunted with. Well, he trapped also, and he said, hey, why don't you if they're still laying there, why don't you go look at them? I says, yeah, but they're probably rotten by now, you know, pretty nasty. And he said, doesn't matter, I'll use them for my coon traps. Okay, so I went down there to get them, and I'm not kidding you, they were nasty. They had maggots in them, and they were pretty slippery, and chowed more by bugs than anything else. No coons or possums came to get it. Well, I picked them up, like reversed a bread sack and picked them all up and put them in a bag, and then I wrapped them up in some white paper that I had because I was always putting stuff in the freezer when we were butchering cows and stuff, and I wrapped them up and I wrote Kevin's Fish on there. And I put him in the freezer. Well, Kevin was one of these guys. He was the biggest procrastinator I ever met. He never got around to do anything. He had so many irons in the fire. He never seemed to be one of them guys got anything done. So there they sat, and I forgot about them. They were in the bottom of one of my deep freezers. I had a couple of them. Well, we're getting ready to leave. The kids were of grandma's, I believe. They weren't that old at this time, about a year later, and my wife and I were going to have a night on the town, just us. And we were getting ready to leave, and my brother shows up. He had a knack for showing up out of the blue, and without calling or anything like that, just showing up. And it's like, oh, crap, bro, we're leaving. And he's like, oh, and I'm like, you know, wish you would call. And he's like, oh, I don't know. I said, well, go on in, make yourself at home, find yourself something to eat. We'll see you tomorrow. You know, we were planning on staying out all night and then coming back in the morning. And I wasn't going to change my plans because he showed up without calling again. But he was a big-time fisherman. He loved to fish, and he loved to eat fish. So we get home the next day. It was around noontime. And when we walked into the house, oh my goodness, did it smell bad. It smelled horrible. Like somebody took a fish shit. I mean, it was just bad. Diarrhea shit fish with corn. It was just horrible. And I walked in, what the heck's going on? And there laying on the counter was that Kevin's fish wrapper laying there, and he looked at me real serious and he says, "Hey bro, next time you put fish in the freezer, you better take the guts out." And he had eaten them. He had eaten them all. And I never did have the heart to tell him. And like I say, he don't watch these videos. He's not a computer guy at all, or a cell phone dude. So I don't think he'll ever see them. But I never did tell him about those fish. But that's my fishing story. Hope you guys like it. But be wary of eating fish at other people's house. That's for sure. But we had all kinds of stuff in that freezer. We had pigs we used to butcher. We had cows we butchered, that were fed well, not fed garbage. I actually had a buddy that he was raising a pig, and at the same time I was raising one. This is when I was in California, and I had a place to raise a pig, a couple of them actually. And I was feeding mine grocery store garbage. I used to go by this big Wimco place at night and pick their garbage. They had cameras all over the place, but not by the dumpsters, because that was a big lock and garage door and all this stuff. And I would just pick out the produce, and I was feeding my pigs I had with that, and they grew pretty good. Plus I was giving them scraps from the house, no meats or anything like that. I didn't cannibalize them or anything. And then I had the buddy that he lived way out, kind of like in the desert, and he was feeding them bread and stuff like that. And I remember when I went to butcher mine, I just got a book on it. I didn't want to pay a butcher. Butchered it myself, and the pork chops on it were nice. They had just a little strip of fat on them, just enough to make them good. And I did send the hams out to a guy to do the hams. I had a deal with that guy where we split. He got one and I got the other. And that was pretty good. And then we made the fresh side meat was for the bacon and stuff like that. And I cured that myself. One of them I gave to the guy to cure. It wasn't as good, so we had done mine myself. But when my buddy's pig, we went over there, and he says, "Oh, we're gonna have some pork chops." I remember there was about this much meat and that much fat, the way he fed them. So, you want to feed your animals real good if you're going to eat them yourself. Same way when we did with the cows, no corn. Didn't want to give them any corn. They had corn and oats chopped at the feed mill, and I used to tell the guy at the feed mill, "Do you got the oats chopped without the corn?" And he says, "Well, I can make it any way you want." And I said, "That's what I want for mine." And I was never one to fatten them up the last month or two like a lot of people do. I fed them that. I fed them a 3-pound can of that every day, along with half a bale of Timothy in the morning and half a bale of Timothy in the evening. And then when they got big, I give them even more, especially in the wintertime. Right before we butcher them. Sometimes we'd keep them all the way till around Thanksgiving, because easier to butcher them when it's cooler. That way I didn't have to run in my air-conditioned shack. I didn't have to run that air conditioner, because that ate up a lot of electricity. I had a 2.5-ton unit for my house. But we did that quite a bit. Never did any cows out in California though, just pigs. Had some chickens too. That was one thing. Like here, everybody gets me about the chickens, but I remember when I was in California, a lot of Mexicans there, and everybody had chickens there too. I mean, you heard it just like here, crowing all over the place, because these Mexican people would come in and get these houses, and there'd be a bunch of them living there, working guys. Some of them were Home Depot guys and stuff, but I actually liked my neighbors up there. A lot of them, the Mexican guys, there were a lot of lazy people, didn't work on welfare. There was one fellow that was tall black guy, same size as me. He was the exact same size as me, and had a nice wife and had a couple kids, and he had been a basketball player, but he couldn't get in the NBA, so he went and played over in Europe for Luxembourg on a team for like 20 years. And he made himself a lot of money. And then what does he do? He goes back to the United States, and I don't know, I guess he didn't save his money, and immediately him and his wife were on welfare. You know, lived in a house just like mine and had a decent car, and each of them had a car, actually. And he would go to work as a security guard for a while and then just screw up and mess up, and just enough to keep them so they wouldn't cut the welfare off. And I just look at that. I just couldn't believe people were like that. I didn't like that. But even some of the Mexican people I knew, they'd go work at Home Depot for this $10 an hour, odd jobs and stuff like that. But yet they were getting welfare also. You know, I just don't think that's right. I don't. I think if you're not a citizen in the United States, you shouldn't get any of the benefits that the citizens should get. And another thing that really bugs me, guys, this just drives me nuts. They keep talking about the Social Security going to run out of funds, and it's going to be broke, and by this certain date it's going to be, and they keep everybody under scare tactics so you'll vote for them, I guess. I don't know what that's all about. It's a direct transfer now anyway. But how come you never hear them talking about welfare running out of money? I ain't never heard that one time from any politician. They never talk about that. They just keep throwing more money at it. So, you know, maybe a lot of you guys there should wake up and start asking your representatives, I guess they call them, these damn politicians. I don't have time for any of them, to be honest with you. There's just bunches of them. I remember when I was one of the politicians in our local area, the senator came in to this big pub that was there, and we're going to ask him some questions, and I had some really valid questions for him, and I asked him, and security put me out. His security people. I wasn't getting upset or anything. I just stood up and asked him some questions, some hard questions, and he just started fumbling around. I just said, "What's the matter, cat? Got your tongue?" And two of these big goons, and he was a big fellow himself, and his two big goons just grabbed me by the arms, didn't say nothing, actually had me up. My feet were almost up off the ground, and took me out of there. And when they got outside, they shoved me to the ground and said, "Don't come back in here." You know, and this is one of our politicians. That just gets me. You know, that just gets me like crazy. But I don't think any of them are really worth a damn, personally. They all get in with good intentions, and then they just stay in there for a lifetime of greed. You know, and they just steal as much as they can. It seems like what all of them do. And then you get these ones, oh, there's this guy's good, that guy's good. Come on. You know, me, when Trump went in, I was like, hey, you know, I got fooled by hear that sucking sound? That guy, I forget his name, Perot. I got suckered by him because he came in and out, and he was just a spoiler. And I remember when Forbes was running that, I thought, hey, he'd be a good idea because he's a very rich guy, and you know, he was talking about his flat tax and all that. That didn't pan out. And then when Trump came along, I thought, hey, let's try something different. Nothing's changing. Let's try something different. So I went ahead and threw my hat in with that guy, and seemed to be pretty good to me what he was doing. Even though when the media and everything was so against him, I started thinking he's rousing the things up. But when he signed that $2.2 to $6 trillion bill, that's when I fell off the wagon for him. You know, I just sorry. You know, sorry. It just shows me that he was throwing them a bone. I don't know what they threatened him with or what happened. You know, we'll probably never know. We still don't even know what happened to Kennedy, you know, and that's been 60 years, almost 60 years now. So, you know, they hide this kind of stuff. And you know, look at what they did at the towers. You know, come on, guys, that was another setup deal. So, but that's me just rambling on again, trying out this. Let me know what you think on how it works. I'll show you my setup here. Let me see if I can get this. Let me get this off of here. I'll slide the camera off. And that's my setup right there. Just a little inexpensive thing. It seems to be pretty sturdy even though the wind, you could see the wind blowing over there pretty good. Let me know how this mic works, and don't forget to pray for each other. This is Rick Shaw out.